Will not be charged for this call. This call is from
Martin Gottesfeld.
an inmate of federal prison. This call is being recorded and is subject to monitoring. Hang up to decline the call or to accept, dial 5 now. If you wish to block any...
Hello?
Hi, baby.
Hi, baby. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm at Brooklyn. I'm in the SHU. They told me, they transferred me here basically because I'm an activist. They tried to act like it was about what I did for work, but then, as soon as I got to the SHU, they're like, "Are you the activist?" I'm like, "Yeah." So pretty much, I'm in here as a flagrant violation of the First Amendment. I would get this recording out to everybody, to all the journalists and all that. They say I'm destined to go to a unit with what's called a communications management unit, which is basically where they hold terrorists and child molesters to try to stop them from harassing the public. I think it's obviously because I'm a journalist and I write about the DOJ. I think it's blatantly unconstitutional. I think it might also be retaliatory because of the lawsuit that I filed in federal court here against the BOP for stopping Rolling Stone and Wired from coming in to interview me at MCC, and for all of the interference that I talked about in the Intercept article on February 3rd. That the BOP has done trying to hinder my activism, including, the stuff in the January 2017 Huffington Post article, how the Federal Bureau of Prisons and U.S. Marshals are trying to break my hunger strike. I'm not sure what they told you or what you knew. I think that, that's the crux of it for me. I'm not sure what our communications are going to be like when I reach the CMU. I imagine that they're going to have a lot of do's and don'ts, and that I'm not going to be able to say certain things. And again, I think this is largely meant to cover for the dirty DOJ, for Rod Rosenstein, and in direct retaliation for the journalism that we've been doing. I think it violates the First Amendment. And I'd like to ask journalists everywhere to inquire for comment with the BOP and to make it clear that this kind of blatant retaliation against a journalist who has covered the Department of Justice and covered the Federal Bureau of Prisons is something that's going to raise more questions about the BOP and about its policies and procedures.
This call is from a federal prison.
How long?
All right, good. I'm glad you have this recording, baby. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How long are they going to keep you in there for, in the SAM?
I have no idea. Theoretically, I'm supposed to get a captain's review today, and they could put me into POP, but I don't trust them. For obvious reasons. They tell me one thing at the door, and then as soon as I get up to the SHU, it's, "Oh, are you the activist?" "Yeah, I'm the activist." Obviously, I've been in general population before. I've had access to the computers before, on the way up. So, I find this, the timing of this, obviously very, very suspicious, right? If me having access to a computer is a problem, well, it wasn't a problem in 2016. I've never done anything, you know what I mean? So, by the way, the blackout here was January 27th to February 3rd. It was a week. The supposed cause was someone tried to pour water on an electrical fire, and that shorted out everything in the West building. There's two buildings here, East and West. We're not sure if the East building was affected or to what extent the East building was affected. But the West building, it was a blackout. There was apparently a heat loss. The facility is trying to deny that there was a heat loss. One of the CEOs told me that, it was all made up. But since then, I've learned, other things. I do not think that it was made up.
It's being reported on.
Water.
It's being reported on that there was heat loss, anyways.
Yeah. Well, and, I think I can verify that firsthand.
Is it still?
Or maybe second, since I wasn't here, but
Yeah.
If there's any other questions, anything people are wondering about that in the last few minutes of this phone call, we should have 15 minutes on this call. Is there anything people are wondering, anything that the world doesn't know about MDC Brooklyn right now that they would like to know?
I'm not sure, but so you don't know when you're going to call again, or if or when you're going to be let out?
If I'm in the SHU, this is the one call a month. I'm not going to be able to call you again until next month.
You think you're going to stay in the okay? Unless
people start making some noise and doing some stuff, yeah, I think that's very likely. As long as I'm in the SHU, this is the one phone call per month. They didn't pass out commissary sheets either, so postage stamps to be able to write you. They're supposed to pass out those commissary sheets this weekend. That didn't happen for whatever reason. I'm not sure if that's related to the blackout or what, but the long and short of it is I can't buy stamps to write you, and this is the one call I'm going to get out of the SHU this month unless someone does something.
Okay, I'll stay on top of that.
How are you doing? How are you holding up?
I'm worried about you. How are you doing?
I'm fine, physically speaking. I'm the one upside is Dave, I've had real hamburger 2 days in a row. Real cheese today.
That's good.
So I'm not going to say I act like it's all negative. Like, you know how happy that would make me. I saw
Yeah.
real meat. I was like, you're kidding me. Like,
Yeah. But how else are you doing?
I mean, I'm in good spirits.